Welcome back, everybody. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Awesome. Today, we're looking at the roots of life, storms, and forgiveness.
Oh,
It's a
interesting.
really fascinating text,
Yeah.
full of insights about getting through tough times and finding meaning, even when things are really challenging.
Yeah.
So we're going to pull out some of the most thought-provoking parts
Sounds good.
and hopefully uncover some practical wisdom that you can apply to your own life.
Love that.
So right off the bat, this text hits us with this really powerful analogy. Life is like a tree.
Okay.
Our roots represent our values and beliefs,
Mm-hmm.
the things that ground us, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
And it got me thinking, like, if our roots are our values,
Right.
what happens when something shakes those values?
Oh, that's a good question.
How do we stay grounded, you know?
Well, the text encourages us to be like trees.
Yeah.
Deeply rooted, but flexible enough to bend with the wind.
Okay.
And that's where resilience comes in. And research actually shows that practicing mindfulness can help increase cognitive flexibility, making you more adaptable to change.
Okay.
Have you ever tried any mindfulness exercises?
I dabble. But
Yeah.
back to the tree analogy, the text doesn't shy away from the storms either. It dives right into what it feels like to be tossed around by life's challenges.
Yeah.
Those moments when fear kind of creeps in
Right.
and whispers those awful lies like, you're nothing, or who do you think you are? Oh, I know, I've been there.
We all have been there.
Yeah.
The key is recognizing those thoughts as lies, that the text says.
Okay.
And it even has this powerful quote. We need to recognize these lies and admit to ourselves that I know who I am, or I am just looking for myself, but I am on my way to that moment when I know who I am.
Whoa.
It's a really powerful reminder that even when we feel lost,
Yeah.
we're still on a journey of self-discovery.
Yeah, for a long time I thought I had my life figured out. Career, relationships, the whole 9 yards, And then, bam, I hit a rough patch. Job loss, breakup, the works.
Oh, wow.
I felt totally adrift. And that quote about being on my way to knowing who I am,
Yeah.
that really resonated with me.
Yeah.
But I also realized I didn't have to go through it alone.
That's so important.
The text talks about that too, leaning on others,
Right.
community support systems.
Absolutely. And there's actually a wealth of scientific research showing that social connection is fundamental to well-being.
Interesting.
It lowers stress,
Okay.
boosts mood,
Right.
even improves physical health.
It's like we're hardwired to need each other, right?
Totally.
Not meant to face challenges in isolation.
Yeah.
And the text really emphasizes the importance of trust and vulnerability in building those strong relationships.
Mm-hmm.
It even suggests that sharing our stories, even the parts that make us feel vulnerable,
Right.
can actually strengthen those connections.
Vulnerability is such a powerful thing.
Yeah.
It creates a space for genuine connection.
I
When we share something vulnerable
Yeah.
and the other person responds with empathy,
Mm-hmm.
it builds this trust and intimacy you can't get any other way.
Totally.
Yeah.
I've been in situations where I was so hesitant to open up, fearing judgment.
Oh, yeah, I get that.
But when I finally did,
Right.
the other person often shared a similar experience, and
Yeah.
they made me realize, oh, okay, I'm not alone in this.
Exactly. That's the beauty of vulnerability.
Yeah.
It allows us to connect on a deeper level,
Mm.
to realize we're not alone in our struggles.
Yeah.
And sometimes it even helps us challenge our assumptions about others.
I struggle with being open-minded at times.
Oh, yeah.
Does the text offer any advice for overcoming like ingrained assumptions?
It definitely encourages going beyond first impressions and really getting to know people for who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has a story,
Right.
and that story might surprise us
Yeah,
if we're willing to listen.
that's a good point.
Yeah, it's about cultivating empathy and understanding, which are so crucial for building strong communities
Yeah,
and a more just and compassionate world.
totally. But what happens when our own internal stuff gets in the way? I'm talking about greed, envy, those kinds of emotions.
Right.
The text has a pretty stark warning about those.
Yeah, it cautions that greed and envy can really cloud our judgment,
Oh, yeah.
leading us down a destructive path.
Mm.
And we can actually see this throughout history.
Oh, interesting.
Individuals and entire societies have been torn apart
Wow.
by the pursuit of power and possessions.
It's almost as if those negative emotions make us forget what truly matters,
Yeah.
Our values, relationships, and connection to something bigger than ourselves.
We become so fixated on what we lack that we forget to appreciate what we have.
Mm,
And that can lead to a vicious cycle of dissatisfaction and unhappiness.
right.
It reminds me of a quote by a philosopher, "There is no wealth but life."
That's a great quote.
Yeah.
And it makes me think about another point the text makes about the duality of life and death. Okay.
Even in destruction, there's potential for new life and growth.
That's a powerful concept.
Mhm.
Think about a forest fire.
Okay.
It can seem devastating at first,
Right.
but it also clears the way for new growth.
So it's not just about surviving the storms.
Right.
It's about recognizing the potential for renewal, even in those difficult times.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that life is cyclical.
Got it.
There are periods of growth and periods of decay, but there's always the possibility for something new to emerge.
That's hopeful.
And that brings us to another key theme in the text: forgiveness.
You know, I get what the text is saying about forgiveness being healing, but isn't there a point where it's okay to walk away from a toxic person?
Right.
Like, do we always have to forgive?
That's a really important question.
Yeah.
The text emphasizes that forgiveness isn't about condoning the wrong that was done.
Right.
It's about releasing the anger,
Okay.
resentment, and pain that we're holding on to.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that release might involve creating distance.
Okay. Or setting boundaries with the toxic person.
So it's more about freeing ourselves from the burden of those negative emotions,
Yeah.
even if it doesn't involve reconciliation with the person who hurt us.
Precisely.
Okay.
Forgiveness is ultimately a gift we give ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
It allows us to move forward without that heavy baggage.
Right.
And as the text states, the power of forgiveness is enormous, and it can break chains and renew life.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
speaks to the transformative power of forgiveness, right?
Right.
Not just letting go of the past, but creating a new future.
Exactly. It's about creating a future filled with possibility and hope.
So much wisdom packed into this text.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it's full of practical insights we can apply to our daily lives.
As we wrap up our deep dive into the roots of life, storms, and forgiveness,
Yeah.
what stands out to you as the most powerful takeaway?
Well, for me, it's the interconnectedness of these themes. You know,
Okay.
resilience, connection, forgiveness,
Well,
they all
yeah.
weave together to create a framework for navigating life's challenges.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
It's not about mastering one single skill,
Right.
but understanding how these different aspects of our inner and outer lives
Mm-hmm.
work together.
Exactly. Think of it like a recipe.
Okay.
You need the right ingredients
Yeah,
and the right process to create something truly nourishing.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
So if we were to distill this recipe for a fulfilling life
Right.
based on what we've gleaned from this text,
Yeah.
what would be the key ingredients?
Well, we've talked about the importance of cultivating resilience,
Mm-hmm.
that ability to bend without breaking
Right.
the mindfulness practices,
Yeah.
connecting with our values, building a strong support system.
Yeah.
Those are all crucial elements.
And we can't forget the role of vulnerability
Oh, absolutely.
in forging those genuine connections.
Yeah.
Letting ourselves be seen, imperfections and all
Yeah.
allows for a deeper level of intimacy and understanding. Yeah, and then there's forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about condoning hurtful actions,
Right.
but about releasing the grip of anger and resentment,
Yeah.
allowing ourselves to heal and move forward.
It's so important.
It strikes me that this text isn't just offering abstract concepts,
Right.
but practical tools for living a more meaningful and fulfilling life.
Precisely. It's an invitation to examine our own lives,
Okay.
to identify the areas where we might need to strengthen our roots,
Yeah.
build stronger connections, or practice forgiveness.
So as we close out this deep dive,
Yeah.
I'd like to leave you with a final thought.
Okay.
The text talks about the power of forgiveness to break chains and renew life.
Mm-hmm.
What's a time in your own life where forgiveness, either giving or receiving it,
Right.
played a significant role?
Yeah. Take a moment to reflect on that experience.
What did you learn? How did it shape you?
Perhaps this deep dive has sparked some new insights or given you a fresh perspective on these timeless themes. The journey of resilience, connection, and forgiveness is ongoing.
Yeah.
It's a process, not a destination.
Thank you for joining us on this exploration.
Of course.
Until next time, keep diving deep.